Hello everyone, welcome to the Bodhi Academy. I am Ms. Rashvita Gadekar and this is our series of one-shot videos. Today I'll be covering the third chapter, that is third chapter of 10 Science NCERT, that is metals and non-metals. Have you ever wondered why metals shine, they are lustrous, while non-metals are different? So let's study about metals, non-metals and their properties in today's video. Let's get started. So coming to the physical properties of metals and non-metals, the first thing is physical state. So most of the metals are solid except mercury at room temperature, whereas non-metal exhibit all the physical state, that is solids, liquids and gases. The liquid non-metal is bromine, gaseous is chlorine. The ductility, malleability. Ductility is when metals are drawn into wires and malleability is when they are drawn into sheets. Only the metals show ductility and malleability. Gold is the most ductile and malleable metals. That's why it is used to make various ornaments. Non-metals do not show this property. Then, all the metals are sonorous, that is, they produce sound when we hit them. Non-metals are non-sonorous. Metals are lustrous, that is, they have a shiny surface. Non-metals are non-lustrous. Metals are good conductors of heat and electricity, while non-metals do not conduct heat and electricity. Metals have a high melting point and non-metals do not have low melting point. Metallic oxides are basic in nature and non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. They do have some exceptions. Example is cesium and gallium. They have low melting points though they are metals. Then though metals are good conductors of electricity, lead and mercury are bad conductors of electricity. Metals are usually having high density, but sodium and potassium show low density. Mercury is in liquid state, whereas all the other metals are in solid state. Non-metals also show some exceptions. Example is iodine, which is lustrous. They have high melting, the high melting point is shown by diamond, and non-metals are usually bad conductors of electricity, but graphite is a good conductor of electricity. Coming to the chemical properties, the first reaction is reaction with air. Metals react with oxygen to form metal oxides. Metals can either show vigorous reaction, slow reaction or no reaction at all. So metals such as sodium, potassium are very highly reactive and they react vigorously with oxygen or air to form oxides, and therefore they are stored in kerosene. Metals such as magnesium, aluminum are they react slowly with air and it forms protective layers and it prevents further oxidation. Metals such as iron, copper combine with oxygen to form oxides, and most of the metal oxides are basic in nature, but some metals oxides are also amphoteric oxides. What are amphoteric oxides? Amphoteric oxides are those oxides which react with acids as well as bases. They show properties of acids as well as bases. That's why they are known as amphoteric oxides. The next one is reaction with water. So metals like sodium, potassium, calcium react with cold water as well, while metals like magnesium reacts with hot water. Metals like iron and aluminum do not react with hot water as well as cold water, they react with steam. Calcium, magnesium float when they react with water because of the hydrogen bubble that stick to their surface, and they tend to float in water. Next is reaction with dilute acid. Metal react with dilute acid to form salt, plus hydrogen gas is evolved in the process, but with dilute HNO3, which is a strong oxidizing agent, hydrogen is oxidized. That's why you do not get this reaction with dilute nitric acid. There is a special compound which is known as aqua regia, which is the mixture of which is the mixture of sulfuric acid and nitric acid in the ratio 3:1, which can dissolve gold as well. Reaction with other metal compounds is known as displacement reaction. In this displacement reaction, a highly reactive metal will displace a low reactive metal from its compound and it will form salt. So how do we know whether any compound is more reactive or less reactive? We have a reactivity series for that. So metals such as potassium, sodium come under a highly reactive category, and metals such as gold, silver are very low in reaction. So metals like potassium or sodium can displace iron or lead from their compounds, and this particular reaction is known as displacement reaction. Coming to the last one, that is reaction with metals and non-metals, you have something known as formation of ionic compounds. Now what are these ions, what are these ionic compounds that is formed? That is basically when it is the tendency to lose electrons or gain electrons. So metals tend to lose the electrons because they have extra electrons and they tend to attain octet by losing the electrons. So example is magnesium, which has 2 electrons in its outermost shell. Sodium also has 1 electron in its outermost shell. So it is easier to lose that electron rather than gaining 7 or 6 electrons. So they tend to lose electrons. While non-metals tend to gain electrons because they have 7 or 6 electrons in their outermost shell. So they tend to form the octet by gaining of electrons. So basically the metals try to lose electrons, and these lost electrons are gained by the non-metals and they form something known as ionic compounds. Now these ionic compounds have high melting point, high boiling point because of the strong forces, and they are soluble in water but they are insoluble in solvents like kerosene and all. They conduct electricity in aqueous and molten state because of the formation of free ions which tend to conduct the electricity. Coming to the next part, that is occurrence of metals. Minerals are basically compounds of metals that are found in Earth's crust, and ores are basically minerals from which we can obtain the metals economically. Example is ore of aluminum is known as bauxite, as we have learned in our previous classes. Next, the impurities which are present in the ore, that is known as gangue, and metallurgy is the steps by which we obtain metal in its pure form. So the 3 steps of metallurgy are enrichment of the ore. Enrichment of the ore is basically removing of all the unnecessary particles or the impure particles which are there by that is gangue, removal of gangue, that is enrichment of ore. Next is obtaining of metal from ore, and the last one is refining of impure metal to obtain pure metal. So obtaining metals, the metals are divided into 3 categories, that is the metals which are low in reactivity series, they occur in free form. Metals which are moderately reactive, they either occur in the form of oxides, sulfides or carbonates. Metals in top reactivity series, they occur mostly in the form of oxides. So obtaining metals in the low reactivity series, it is by heating at high temperature. Example is mercury is obtained from its ore. Ore of mercury is known as cinnabar. And copper is obtained from copper sulfide by heating at high temperature. Next is middle reactivity series. So it is easier to obtain metal from its oxide. So metals which are present in the form of sulfides or carbonates, they are converted into oxides and then they are obtained. So to convert sulfide ores in the form of oxides, we have one process which is known as roasting. So metals are sulfide ores are heated strongly in the presence or excess of oxygen or air, that is known as roasting. And calcination is when carbonate ores are heated in limited supply of oxygen or air, that is known as calcination. Then we get the oxides, and oxides are reduced by using coke or displacement reaction with highly reactive metals such as sodium or aluminium. So sodium or aluminium tend to displace these metals, and then we get the pure metal. The top reactivity series are metal which are under top reactivity series are obtained by electrolytic reduction. So sodium, for example, it is obtained from molten chloride. So you get metal at cathode and you will get non-metal at anode. So now we will look at the third step, that is refining of impure metal to obtain the pure metal. That is known as refining. So refining is done again using electricity. So at anode we have the impure copper. I have taken example of copper. At cathode you have the pure metal. Solution is of aqueous copper sulfate plus a small amount of dilute H2SO4, and when the copper ions from anode will move to cathode and the impurities will settle under anode, and that settlement of impurities is known as anode mud, and you will get your pure metal at the cathode. So next is corrosion, and corrosion is when metals are attacked by moisture or air. So silver, for example, it reacts with H2S and it gives a blackish compound which is known as silver sulfide. Copper also reacts with carbon dioxide, it gives a greenish compound, that is copper carbonate. Iron, rusting of iron, we have learned in previous classes as well. Rusting of iron reacts with oxygen to form rust, that is a flaky brown substance. So how do we prevent the metals from corrosion? We can prevent metal by oiling, greasing, galvanization, anodizing. Galvanization is when we apply a coating of zinc, or by formation of alloys as well we can protect the metals from corrosion. So there are various alloys, for example stainless steel, which is an alloy of chromium, nickel and iron. Alloy wherein mercury is used is known as amalgam. Alloy of brass is known as copper. Alloy of copper and zinc is known as brass. Alloy of copper and tin is known as bronze, which is given in athletic events and all. Then solder is an alloy of lead and tin, which is used in welding of electrical wires. So alloys are basically homogeneous mixture of metals and non-metals. So they are more in terms of strength, hardness, they are very resistive to corrosion, and they have less melting point and less electrical conductivity. So that's it for today's video. I hope you have understood about metals, non-metals, their properties, corrosion, how we can prevent corrosion. Thank you for watching today's video. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Bodhi Academy.